Welcome to AJV's Originals Way. This is my lady Lori. I was with her for 12 years. I had the great honor of finally marrying her. Not that she didn't want to, it's just at first she was afraid of jinxing our relationship because after 5 years, apparently she tended to break up with people. She fought cancer for 3.5 years. And maybe going on 4. There at the end, it got pretty bad. She finally succumbed on January 2, 2021. The dress you're seeing her wearing is her wedding dress. We married 6 months before the end of the year. She's worn that dress every New Year's except 2020. Great looking lady, fantastic person, classy lady, more depth to her than most people realized. It was my pleasure to have been with her. And she was a lot deeper than people thought. There was a lot more to her. And I've been trying to figure out a name for this particular cup. And it's kind of the same thing. It has a lot more to it than you might first put up your mind to. It takes a little bit to get this, and it took a little bit to know Lori, but once I did, it was a fantastic experience, and I'll be forever grateful for her love. So this cup is Lori's cup. Now, I did buy an editing program, or I downloaded an editing program, and I'm maybe learning it, but I decided that I'm going just to do some short videos because there's a lot of steps involved in making this cup. Not only doing the woodworking and spinning the copper, but there's also spinning the copper, which is a skill all of its own, a very difficult one to learn. And what I'm showing right here is some of the various molds and pieces that I use to get this all done. These are molds for doing the spinning. A couple things that'll have to do with spinning. This has to do with more of the routing and finishing of the wood. Then you have spinning tools here and here. These 3 are spinning tools that I use. This is a jig I put on the bandsaw that cuts out these discs, and both the upper lip and the bottom cup both start out as this disc. They actually start out as a big sheet of 10 foot by 3 foot copper, but you know what I'm talking about. So this is what I have to put on this machine over here. And right now this has a regular chuck on it, which I do use in making this Lori's cup, but it will have the Nova chuck on it and then that end piece. And I use the other lathe because I have this slide right here is a different width from this point to this point, so I can't put the tool wrist that I have for spinning. So it goes on this machine, which is fine. One problem with this, I do all of the really delicate work on that one because the quill on that is 100% right on. There is about 1/100 of an inch out of round on this one, out of balance. I was able to straighten from a lot worse, but it's not quite good enough for some woodworking. I found another one. I'll change that over, but it's great for doing spinning because as I spin, I will actually cause a little deflection in this. This machine is right at being able to handle the 19 gauge. I was a little concerned when I went to 19, but it does fine. I've done hundreds of pieces on it now, all the way up to 10-inch pieces, and it does okay. So I had to beef it up a little bit. This tailstock holder has a tendency to deflect a little bit, and especially when I'm slamming this in and really pressuring, putting a lot of torque on this system. So I beefed that up. I also beefed the other one up because when I put this particular attachment in, this reams out the holes, gives me a nice start for the finishing of the holes on these cups. But if that's just put in there, it has a tendency it has a tendency to want to bend down, and I need 100% accuracy on those cups. Otherwise, I'm just going to ruin them. So this attachment on the end, originally all they have was a little set screw, which as long as you're pressuring against it is not going to make that much of a difference. But I have one, and you can see the little mark happening with that set screw. It actually tends to dig in, and then it rounds out, and it just not a good situation if you really want to do really accurate work, which I really need on that cup. I'm dealing with close to 1/1000th of an inch on tolerance, all that. I clean the inside as much as I clean the outside and finish it for the looks. So it's very necessary that I get as critical as I can on these Shopsmiths. And they weren't designed really for the work that I'm trying to do on them. They're great for domestic stuff, spinning out bowls, spinning out other kind of wood cups. But when I'm doing lathing out wood cups, and they were never designed with the kind of torque that I'm putting on them for the spinning. So I've got this cup all but done. The finish is done. Once I wax it up, it's going to really shine good. It has to cure for a little bit, a couple days. I'll put it in the house so it cures well, then I can shine it up and glue these pieces on. I've got these other 6 pieces ready to go. There'll be a 7th here that's about ready. I'm going to get some oak and some purple heart because I want to do those full sections. I've got most of the other woods that I use. This is that sapele, S-A-P-E-L-E, out of South America, mahogany type of wood. It's a beautiful wood. I almost love it more than the black walnut, which will be this cup. Now I'm trying something a little different. Because of the way that I'm doing this is end grain, and this has some pretty bad pull out. And I had a really sharp, easy wood. I had just changed the cutter on it, so I know the cutter's good, and I had to speed up. But that tends to happen with the end grain on the black walnut. This one I haven't turned down too much yet. That's just straight out of gluing it up, and those are from the router, because I turn these out on the router, which I'll show in a little bit, one of them. So that's just an introduction to starting this cup. There's another big gouge there. I should be able to turn that down because I have quite a bit to turn down once I get the copper on. I place the copper on and then I turn them down to the copper. So I've oiled those with some mineral oil. I'm going to put another coat on it, and hopefully I did that on another piece and it seemed to pretty much cure the problem, because this wood is really dry, and with a little softer fibers in that, it seems to cut clean a whole lot better. I don't think it's going to interfere with doing the final sanding because I don't think the oil is going quite that deep, and if it does, I can just let it cure for a while, and that'll be fine. I want to get these out, but it's not like I have a fire to go to. So taking one step at a time. I've got the technique all figured out. That's where all of these pieces came from. That little device right there, that's in the chuck right now. That's another piece that goes with this. You'll see at toward the end of the finish. And I'm just going to do short little videos and just post these and just number them. And then, if you guys find this interesting, that'd be pretty fantastic. I've solved a lot of problems on this technique. Some of it I borrowed from doing what I call Joe Stein's cup. So hopefully we can have fun.